Hey guys, and how's it going? Maniac Mower here. Got another video for you guys today. This is our 1967 112 round fender. If you guys don't remember, this is the one that we was working on a while ago. Had this motor in the Horde. I pulled it out. We had to put a head on it and a few other things. It's a points and condenser motor, but I put solid state on it just because I've had better luck with the solid state on these than points, and I've never used it to come so with points. And so we put the solid state on it and we used it. Ran fine. We drove it around a little bit, and then we brought it back out the next day to try and start it. For God knows what reason, the thing wouldn't turn over, so we had to pull it over with the 73, and that worked okay, but it wouldn't stay running on its own. It had to be being spun over by the 73, and I think anyway, so I ended up trying to throttle it up. We checked it for we checked it to make sure it was still getting fuel, which it was. Checked the gas to make sure it was getting fuel. I ended up putting a different fuel line on it because the one was kind of restrictive and it was old, and the fuel filter it had was no good. Oh, I also put another fuel filter on that line that was made in China, so that tells you enough. Anyway, so we ended up putting the PTO system on it too, and then we took it back out to try and run it. And I had the genius idea of throttling it up all the way, and I managed to get it to run, but it caught onto the throttle cable and it ripped it off. So now we need a throttle cable for it and a couple other things. I also was starting to wonder if the head gasket might be possibly blown. So what I think we are going to do in this video is we may end up switching it back over to points, coil, and condenser. We might not. And then I think after we make that decision, what I think is wrong with it is it seems like the idle circuit might possibly be plugged up. I've had the chance to sit down and think about it the past couple weeks, and I've come up with that decision. I think I think the carburetor might have gotten some junk in it and plugged up, so we're gonna have to end up just cleaning that carburetor out. So I haven't warmed up the ultrasonic cleaner yet, but I probably should. So let's go on ahead and we will do some messing around with it. I'm gonna pull that carburetor off of there, and then once we get the carburetor off, we'll put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, let that do its thing, and then go from there. Okay, got those bolts out of there and I dropped them in the vise. I'm going to show you guys how to turn these into flatheads. Well, I guess before anybody asks, no, I don't have them on the threads. What I want to do is I want to get them in there so they won't move. But I don't want to crush the threads. That's the big issue. There we go. We can still push that one in like that. There we go. Okay, ready? Let's do some modifications. It appears that might not work. But we may just have to do one at a time. Ready? I think I off-centered it a little bit. Whoops. Get that out of here. Yeah, I'm a little off-center. Let's try to get this one in the center. Ready? We got that one in the same place as we did the other one, but whatever, it looks fine. Let's go ahead and get that carburetor pulled apart into the ultrasonic cleaner. Went ahead and I actually cleaned out the ultrasonic cleaner. It was getting kind of rough. So I figured, well, we better go on ahead and clean it. Let me put some new fluid in it. Check that out, nice and blue. The stuff that came out of it was black. Make sure that valve's off. Yeah, it was dirty. I guess I should probably start cleaning it out a little bit more than I usually do. I let it go for, I'll use it for about a month and then I'll go to clean it. It doesn't see very much use usually. So we got our carburetor pulled apart. Let's go on and drop it in. The float is still attached. It wouldn't come out, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Let's drop that in there. There we go. And then let's move this back. I did put some warm water in it. Turn the heater on. Ready? Carburetor's all cleaned up. Let's go on ahead and get it out of here. Hopefully it should be nice and clean since I just put new water in. Looks better. Let me run up front real fast and I'll blow that out and then I'll be right back. Went up front and I rinsed that out. Let's go on ahead, and the problem is I was blowing it and I lost that seal. There was another seal on here that I think blew away too. The float also busted, so we got to put another float on it. Luckily, I have another float up here. So let me see where that went to. It was a pain in the ass, but I managed to get that out of there. So now we got to pull the needle. Still not quite sure why it was leaking. I think we're gonna go look for another needle and use it instead. I may or may not have, well, I don't know if I have one of them or not. If I don't, we'll end up polishing it. Did some looking around and I don't appear to have another needle, so we're just gonna use this one. I found my float. Doesn't sound like it's got any fluid in it or anything, so it should work. So we'll put this on here. Most likely that float's going to leak, but hopefully it'll be okay. Keep in mind, the float that was on here was plastic, so I'm hoping this one, this is a brass float, but I'm hoping it'll be basically the same as that brass float. And so far it seems to be. Shit. You know what we could do? Just set that in there like that. Where did that one go? It's always great when you misplace stuff. There it is. Then we'll put this on. There we go. This is I think this is a Kohler. I think this is actually for a Kohler engine. Now that I look at it, I gotta find one for a Tecumseh. I might have a. Oh, there's another carburetor. Let's go grab this carburetor. We're most likely gonna end up pulling it apart. This is an older one. That's busted. Let's get this pulled off of here and see what kind of float it has. This is actually a pretty nice carburetor. Looks to be an original Tecumseh. Oh, you know what? This is a bigger. We can't use this one. This one's got a bigger float. So we can't use this one. Let me run upstairs real quick and we will see if I have another float or not. Went upstairs and I found another carburetor just like that one. We may actually end up using this one. I don't know. It is actually the next day right now. I just came out here this morning. And what we were doing is we was working on this carburetor. I started getting tired, so I went in the house. And we were getting ready to pull this off of here. I think that is where we left off. So we're going to pull this float out of here. We should probably float it, make sure it floats. Was also considering just using this carburetor, but not quite sure what the condition of this carburetor is. Yeah, see? Cool. We may end up using it. We may not. I've cleaned it, but yeah, just steal this fluid out of it. We'll put it back together so we don't lose anything, but let's pull you. There we go. There we go, and there's that. We actually may end up stealing that needle. Since I'm thinking about it, we might steal this needle and put it in here. Is this one, well, I don't know. We'll just leave it in there for now, the one that's there. Let's take a look, actually. Yeah, there's still a brass needle in there, or seat. Let's go on ahead and grab our float. Float doesn't make noise, so I assume it's good. You guys see? I always keep on forgetting that my eyes aren't the camera. I gotta I gotta remember that. So here's our carburetor. Let's go on ahead and drop this in. There we go. That's in. Grab our pin. Put the pin through. Hopefully. I'm gonna assume, give it the better judgment and say this floats good. I probably shouldn't, but hopefully. So as you can see, needle moves, goes up. It's not going to drop down that far once I put the bowl on it, so we'll put our gasket. We could use that float bowl too, but nah, I'd much rather use the one that came off of this instead. It's on there good. This has a little lip around it for anybody who's wondering. There's a lip on here that goes around the gasket. That's what holds this in. And speaking of, we got to put our jets back. This jet is, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is our throttle. So we need to find our bottom nut. Here it is. This goes on there, as you can see. Male to female. That goes in like so. We'll adjust it here in a minute. Oh, you know what? Speaking of, don't let me forget these gaskets. There we go. I don't think that one up on top matters too much, so we'll just take it out. There we go. Let's drop this in. Whoa, hold on a minute. Do we have the right gasket on there? I hope. I don't really think we need it, but yeah. We probably better steal that one off of that carburetor. Yeah. There we go. Get this tightened down. Once we get it tightened down, we'll be good. Obviously not as tight as it was. Right about there should be okay. And then we'll put our air fuel mix in. Oh, you know what? Do we have a gasket for you? What is this? So we'll put our little gasket. Oh, that's right. The gasket blew out of it. We had to steal the one off of there. But I think this one should be okay. Just a little O-ring, it's all it is. Okay, where won't you go? We'll do it without. Hopefully that'll be okay. Yeah, we better steal. We better take this one out. It's a gasket that goes behind the spring. This is it. Let me grab the, or whenever they're on, I grabbed a screwdriver. Let's pull this jet. Hopefully I'm going to go on ahead and assume this has it. Right? Oh, it's a brass one, but it's basically the same. So let me grab my dentist tools. Unless they're sitting up there, which they're not. Here they are. Went over there and I grabbed my dentist tools. Let's pull them out. We're going to use our professional nose picker right here. It's the pointed one with the nose picker I'd use. We're going to try to pull this out of here easily without damaging it. There's that. Put that there. And then, how easy are you going to come out? Trying not to stress it. Most likely we just annihilated it. Shit. Yep. Oh boy. Well, that ain't coming out of there, is it? What we should have done was just blow it out with compressed air. I didn't think of that. I didn't plan on doing that last night either until I went to get the stuff out of it and the seal blew out of that one. Okay, we can't get it out. Probably should have used that one there instead, but that one worked. So let me put my tools back. And now, we did get the brass one out, so I think we'll be okay if we use the brass one. What jet came out of that carburetor? Oh, it's still in there. Oh, there goes that. So I'm going to go on ahead and guess. Hopefully we'll be okay with just using this brass one. Because I do not have a rubber piece. We'll keep an eye open for one. We'll probably end up finding one. Nothing's going to be able to get in through there except for air. That's about it. Tighten them down all the way. This one right here is going to come out 2 1-turns. That's 1. That's 1.5. This one's going to come out 1 1/4, right? So we'll put that in all the way. Right. 1 1/4. There we go. Carburetor's all set, put together, and ready to go. One thing I do want to look at while we have it, actually, never mind, it doesn't appear to be a problem now. But the choke wasn't shutting all the way before. Okay, let's go on ahead and put this back on the engine, try it out. I think what we actually might do is go on ahead and drain out that fuel, because if we put dirty fuel back into that carburetor, it's going to do the exact same thing it did before. So let me grab went over there and I grabbed this gallon milk jug, I guess you could call it. We're going to put this here somehow and just drain all the fuel out of it. Keep an eye on it. I want to see how. Well, actually, that doesn't look bad. That looks pretty clean. Let's see if we turn on the shut that off. Let's see if it'll say the same thing if we turn the other thing on the tank. What came out of the carb though looked awful. So That actually really surprises me that it looks as clean as it did. Is that? Let me play with this a little bit and try to figure out why so little fuel's coming out. Weird. Okay. You know what? That fuel looks clean. I think we can use it. We shouldn't have a problem with it. So, I don't know why what came out of there at first looked so bad, but it might be okay. Let me grab the bolts and a screwdriver and we'll do that. Still not very thrilled about those cuts not being in the center of the screw. But you know what? It works. At the end of the day, it works. Bring you guys down. There you go. Okay. I think our fuel looked okay. We should be able to use that. If it ends up happening again, I'll purge it. Maybe we won't have to though, we'll see. Depends on the way the table turns, which hopefully is in our favor. But not often, is it? Grab my gasket and our choke plate, we'll put them in there first. Okay, so I went ahead and I dropped a new battery in it because the battery that we had in there before was the wrong battery for it. And I also pulled the little pulley guard off because I noticed it was putting some strain on that. So let's go on ahead and try it and see if we can get it to start. Ready? I think I was right. Look at that. Let me let it run for a little bit and then we'll come back. Let's go on ahead and make sure it shuts off. I let it run for a little while. If you're wondering what it was, I had my stator hooked up the wrong way. That's why it wasn't wanting to die. Good. There we go. Hopefully now, when I try it, it'll kill it. Ready? I wonder why it's... There's always a way to kill them if they won't die. Okay, so runs. So that's good. I think up next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that, we're gonna put the air filter back on it, the front cover, take it out and drive it around a little. Took the round fender out and I was driving it around a little bit. Does a real good job. But while I was out there, for some reason the belt decided to slip. I was going up a hill over there by the house and it was starting to struggle and I can't throttle it. So I pushed the clutch and I went into third gear quick. I was just in fourth gear. The variator was back all the way. I was just cruising around. And I pushed the clutch and I went into third gear real quick and I let off and it kept on going fine. But I noticed once I got to the top of the hill it started slowing down a little bit and I started messing with the clutch and I was checking the variator and I went up front and I looked and it turned out that the belt had slipped, had come off. So we got to put the belt back on. Drove around okay. So I don't recommend manual shifting it like that, but I didn't want it to stall out on me. It didn't do half bad. I had it down pretty low RPM going uphill under a load and it was still doing good. So let's go on ahead and put that new, let's go on ahead and put the belt back on and we'll try driving it again. Went on there last night actually and I went ahead and I went on the internet and I scrolled around a little bit just for shits and giggles to see how much a hood support and a grill would be. Actually, it's pretty cheap. I went on there and I found a hood supports for 20 bucks and I found a grill for 20. I also went ahead and I ordered a new filter assembly, the one that's supposed to be on it. That wasn't very much either. So a lot less than I was expecting to pay for it, so I would say that turned out pretty good. I'd have liked to find them together for a little bit cheaper, but actually no, wait a minute. The grill was 30. The grill was 30 and the hood supports were 20. Never mind. I was thinking of something else. And then I don't remember how much the air filter housing was, but we'll find out when it gets here, I'm sure. So, okay. The tractor runs great, but we have a slight issue. Or die. Another big problem with it is if you hook the stator up, it'll die, and I'll demonstrate. And that's what the key switch turned on. So, somewhere on here, there's a wire missing. What wire it is, I'm not completely sure, but it will not start with the stator hooked up. It'll fire, but it won't start, so there's a problem. Let's go on ahead and take a look at it and see if we can figure out what it is. So if our problem's right here, this right here is the one that runs back, and I'm wondering if this came loose. It doesn't appear it did. So one of these connections might have come loose, but everything is hooked up. Not sure about as we go back to the tractor, but most likely we'll end up having to pull the, we can just pull the battery out and find out. Let's see if it'll crank over now since we played with it. That's interesting. It appears that something must not have been hooked up right. There it goes, it just died. Trying to think of what it could be that's doing it. It runs just fine without the stator that hooked up, but when you hook it up, it doesn't want to run. So I'm almost wondering if I have these wires. I don't think I have those wires swapped, but it's quite possible. Let's see if it'll start up again. Tried. No. Yeah, so it won't hook up with that hooked up to it. So we got to figure out where at exactly it's messing up. And I'm thinking a wire going back must have come unplugged or might possibly be hooked up wrong. So I guess we'll go on ahead and pull the battery out and see what we can find. Went in there and I grabbed the 7/16 wrench. Let's go on ahead and pull the battery out. Wrong way. Trying to not let the terminals touch, because that'd be bad. Hopefully this should come out of here with no problems. Perfect. Then we'll just lift the battery out. And once we get the battery out, we should be good to go. On these round fenders, I'm not sure how many of you guys know this, so I'm just going to go on ahead and tell you. There's a generator. Instead of a starter and a stator, there's a generator. What the generator does is the generator turns over the motor when you want to go start it, and it also charges up the battery for you. So it takes the stator and the starter's place. Unfortunately, I do not have one of them for this engine at the moment. I'm keeping my eye open for one though. I want to find one cheap. They're pretty expensive. Let's get this out of here. And take a look. I think, there we go. That's our problem right there, that wire came loose. And this one is starting to come loose. All our wires are hooked. Alright, 1, 2, 3, yeah, okay. So, that wire, hopefully that was our only issue, is that wire came unhooked. It sucks you gotta pull the whole battery out in order to get to it, but you know, it works. Let's get this out. And we'll put these two in. I'm gonna have to get a battery for this tractor. This is actually the battery out of the 73-112 that I'm using right now. It's got no spark at the moment. I gotta diagnose why it has no spark. Thinking the coil might be fried. There we go. Let's check this. Hopefully it'll work. Need to figure out what one of them goes to kill it, or if the ground isn't hooked up to where it should be. Because there's two wires that go down to there. One of them should be cutting power. That's loosening. Which I bet you can. There we go. Let's try that now and see if it's ready? And it shuts off. Cool. So we figured out what our problem was. My guess is it was flopping around in there and it would touch it every once in a while. We're gonna have to crimp it down, and the battery's going dead. What do we want to do now? I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna have to end up looking for new throttle cable. We could do, actually. That's the nice thing, is it's right there. Yeah, so we could pull. We'll just hold off on it for right now. If we do end up putting a new throttle cable, we're gonna run it straight to it. Throttle's all hooked up and ready to go. Actually, no, we're not gonna do that. We'll just run it like it should be. Right now, we do not have throttle. So let's just drive it around and don't let it die. I'm gonna run it, let it charge up that battery a little bit, just to make sure that stator that I put on there works. There shouldn't be any problems with that stator, but why not test it and make sure, so. Okay. Okay, you guys, I think I'm gonna go on ahead and end this video here. So we solved our why it won't run issue. We figured out the carburetor was plugged up. We did some wiring on it and electronics works. And also we figured out why the thing wasn't dying. So I'm gonna go on ahead and end this video here. We'll pick up next when I'll pick up the video again when we get our hood supports, grill, and the other stuff I ordered for it. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.